which is item number 4 in your staff comments. The application is for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of the Bronx. It's 350 West 246th Street, located within the Fieldston Historic District. It's docket number 164012. This is a Tudor Revival-style house designed by Louis Kurtz and built in 1934-35. The application is to replace the windows.
Commissioners, Lisa Schaefer, Preservation Staff. The application for 350 West 246th Street is to replace windows. This house has its historic steel casement windows, and this is the location of the house, and both the front and rear facades are facing streets, so you can see a lot of this house. The proposal is to replace them with aluminum-clad casement windows, and some of them do match the configuration of the historic window in these cases, and in other cases there is a difference. In this case, for instance, there's a transom. There's no transom in the proposed. The same with these two. So some of them do match the configuration. Some of them are somewhat different. And the owners of the house are here. If you have any questions?
If I may.
Yes, please.
Morning. My name is Bernard Stein, and with my wife, Marguerite Adams, I've lived at 350 West 246th Street since 1985. Over the last decade or so, we have fought a losing battle to repair the home's original windows. After 80 years, those windows have failed. They leak, they no longer keep out cold and drafts, they waste energy, and worst of all, they allow moisture to penetrate, causing the interior plaster around them to crumble. If you look at panel 5 in the document you have in front of you, the lower left and the upper right, you'll see photographs of plaster wearing away, and that's true of the house. Some years ago, we enlisted the help of John Seekirker, who was called by the New York Times the master of casement windows. And he was able to straighten a bent frame, but he pronounced the windows beyond any further help. Even if they weren't in such disrepair, we would want to replace them with energy-efficient windows. And the replacements we've chosen are similar to the ones you just heard about, our neighbor to the north. Up-to-date windows, double pane with argon gas, wood, and covered with extruded aluminum. We think they are true to the originals, although they don't precisely duplicate them. For affordability and also in order to maximize the amount of light coming into the house, their muntins are uniform in width. Some don't have transoms, as some of the originals do. We don't believe these differences will detract from the appearance of the house or from its essential character. As the designation report notes, our house was built on a steep slope and sits below street level, reached by a flight of stone steps. The features of the main facade that most notably greet the eye, therefore, are a steeply pitched roof and a large multi-stack brick chimney. The first-story windows, 1 story below the sidewalk and screened by plantings, are barely visible from West 246th Street. There is some evidence, too, that Louis Kurtz, the home's architect, was not particularly concerned about the configuration of the windows. 11 of our windows measure 36 by 50 inches. The windows in the entranceway, the first floor study, and the second floor landing have a single casement surrounded by fixed panes. The 3 kitchen windows, the south-facing window in the master bedroom, the smaller of the 2 windows in the second bedroom, and the windows in the third bedroom are the same size as those windows, but they're configured differently with 2 casements and fixed panes. If you look at panel 5, upper right, and the lower right, windows 2 and 5, you'll see what I'm talking about. I think it's likely that the builder just used whatever he happened to have in stock. A previous owner installed ugly aluminum storm windows on 3 of the most prominent original windows. If you look again at panel 6, lower left and right, and those can't be removed without leaving holes. The new windows, I think, will actually enhance the appearance of the house and will bring it closer to its historic appearance, just as the previously approved south-facing windows in the living room have. And if you look at panel 1, you'll see the before on the lower left with the aluminum storm windows, and if you look at panel 6, middle right, you will see the current windows and how much better they look, how much more handsome and how much truer to the character of the house. Finally, I just want to say that I believe in the importance of landmarks law. As editor of the Riverdale Press from 1978 to 2008, I crusaded for historic preservation. The 18th century Hatley farmhouse on Post Road would have been torn down had my reporting not led to its designation as a historic landmark. In 2005, the Historic Districts Council honored my newspaper for its efforts to persuade the commission to create the Riverdale Historic District. And the press crusaded for years for the establishment of the Fieldston Historic District, which, as you may know, was a contentious issue that divided neighbors. My research on the history of Fieldston, published as a special report in the press on the 75th anniversary of the Fieldston Property Owners Association, is incorporated in the Commission's Fieldston designation report. So I think the creation of the Fieldston Historic District has helped to safeguard the character of our beautiful neighborhood, and I hope you will agree that our proposal for new windows at our home is in harmony with that character.
Thank you. Are there questions for the applicant? Any questions? All right, why don't we take testimony, and then we can see the other questions. Barbara Zay?
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. Steel windows are a crucial feature of the Tudor Revival style in Fieldston. Since thermally broken steel casement windows are available, HDC asks that these be considered instead of the proposed windows. Thank you.
Are there any more speakers on this item? All right, Community Board 8, Bronx. Resolved that Community Board 8 approves Landmark Preservation Commission docket, etc., regarding 350 West 246th Street for the replacement of steel case windows with modded aluminum-clad double-paned wooden casements of the same color and configuration as close to the original as possible. So they support that. All right, comments? Michael?
Well, I think this one differs from the previous one in a significant way. I think that the use of the steel framed windows for this style house makes them significantly visibly different from the windows that would be proposed. And you can see that on page 4, where you look at the dimension of the transom, for instance, at 7 13/16 versus 3 1/4. And that's more than double. And in just looking at the elevations, I mean, the frames are significantly different. So then I have to ask myself, is this the only way one could go? I'm convinced that the applicant has reasonably attempted to maintain the windows, and if they are in fact not restorable, then I think that there are other options, including steel and aluminum that we've seen in this commission. The Graham windows that were used on the Starrett Lehigh matched the profiles perfectly, and those are aluminum windows, which should be more affordable than steel. So I think that, I mean, it's certainly true the applicants, what he said was completely true. The house is somewhat below grade on 246th Street, but the image on the bottom right, on the bottom left on the second panel, the house is very, very much exposed to the street on Greystone Avenue behind it. So it is very, very visible. And I would urge him to consider.
Okay. Other comments? Yes, Michael?
I would agree with those statements. The fact that the name of John C. Kircher was invoked with regard to the condition of these windows makes me quite sanguine that they can be replaced, or they should be replaced. John C. Kircher is the person who I go to when I want to know about conditions on steel windows. That said, there are, in fact, manufacturers of energy-efficient steel windows and energy-efficient aluminum windows that are much more replicative of what is there now and should be considered.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that the applicant could work with the staff with the guidance that the Commission expects the profiles to, as close as possible, really replicate the existing with either aluminum or steel, you know. It's my view.
Okay, yes.
And
but
also to look at the top part of the window, maybe in terms of making it closer to what's existing. I mean, even for changing material, there's something about the weight of or the thickness of certain divisions of the windows that were different. I think that could.
you're talking about sort of pronouncing the transom?
Ransom?
Yes.
Okay. Do commissioners feel comfortable with that? They'll work with staff to get the profile of either it's going to be a steel or aluminum windows as close to the profiles of what's existing, and to also, what's the word, accentuate or identify the transom feature that existed historically. Yes.
This is the contractor, Mr. Capagrosso. I guess he wants to say something. Yes.
Have we closed the hearings yet?
Say something?
Okay, we haven't. Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to come up here and speak. My name is Joe Capagrosso. I'm the owner of Authentic Window Design. I'm an exclusive partner dealer with Marvin Windows and Doors, Waterloo, Minnesota. I've done plenty of landmark projects in both Fieldstone, working on several right now on Bleecker Street, working on one on Green Street right now. So my experience in replacement windows is quite extent, and I've been in this room several times before in this particular room getting approval, doing the exact same thing we're doing to this home as we're proposing to do here in Fieldstone. Taking out steel casement windows and replacing them with the Marvin ebony clad or bronze clad exterior. I understand all your points about your trying to keep as close as possible. The main thing that I try to do is to maintain energy efficiency, and there's not a real good way to maintain energy efficiency without using a wood interior. Wood interiors are probably the best for maintaining energy efficiencies. A steel casement window with insulated pane glass is basically not really an option for energy efficiency at all. That steel will be as cold on the inside as it is outside, even in 10-degree weather, 5-degree weather. The window will build up frost. The window will build up moisture. The window will decay the interior plasterwork of the home, as well as the wooden sills that are around it. In this particular home right here, fortunately, the steel casement windows are attached to a wooden frame that goes all the way around. Being that that wooden frame is attached all the way around, the removal of this window is in such a fashion that when we install the new window, the entire exterior of the window, existing casings, existing bullnosed stucco to the windows will not be touched or affected. They may need a little touch up with some painting. The exterior of the window, from where the exterior facade comes in, including in the wooden parts of the window where the windows are located in the wooden part of the home, not in just stucco, will not be affected at all. It is a procedure that Marvin has invented. It's called a Marvin insert casement window. It's not a full frame window, which is usually used in new construction procedures. It is an insert casement, and the idea of this that Susan Marvin actually came up with this through the R&D was for situations similar to this, preserving the historic look of the outside, the stucco, some of the gorgeous moldings, wood casings, lintels, things that cannot be found or aren't made anymore like this. So this window was used to take care of that problem. again, looking at the light configurations of the existing windows, you have a very valid point that the transoms above do have a larger daylight opening than the proposed windows, but again, in order to get a energy efficient window, we're working with a window glass that's inside of a sash that then in turn goes in a frame. So you will lose, it's typical in steel casement replacement windows to lose some daylight opening. But we will not, again, touch exterior conditions. The windows will go right to the end. The bullnose stucco will come into the end. And we utilize, the windows are measured to 1/16 of an inch, or 32nd if I wanted to. Marvin's a little crazy like that. But I get them right to the opening of the window.
If I may just say one more thing in response to the commissioner who spoke of the view from Greystone Avenue. That's it. These are the previously approved windows in our living room that have been there for some time, shortly after, I think, the creation of the Fieldston District. So we're really talking about these two windows. Now, from here to Greystone Avenue is a fair pace. It's our backyard. So somebody standing on Greystone Avenue is, I submit, not going to have any sense about whether these two windows are somehow detract from the historic character of the house. And the only other thing I would say is we did consult recently with Sherida Paulson, the former chair of the commission, who warned us that steel windows were were drafty, ultimately would become drafty, and were in no wise as energy efficient as the windows that we proposed to put in.
Okay, any comment to that?
Anything I can answer?
Yeah, Michael.
I mean, I don't think that the aluminum windows are not thermally broken. I'm fairly sure that they are, so I don't think you'd have a problem with thermal bridging, which is what the window person was talking about. You know, so you shouldn't have frost or whatever developing. I'm not sure about Hope's windows, but I know that I checked on the website that the Graham windows are thermally broken. So I don't think there's a significant issue in terms of the energy efficiency of the non-wood windows. And it's true that the back of the building is viewed from Greystone Avenue, which is the backyard. It's you know, it's certainly within the realm of what this commission has viewed as visible to the public way. How visible? I guess that's a judgment call, but it's definitely quite accessible and visible to the public way.
I don't know anything about the Greystone Avenue thing, but I know that we have approved windows in the past for replacing steel windows that were much closer to original profiles than the ones being depicted here. And perhaps we need to look at other manufacturers than Marvin.
I also wanted to say that when we talked about, I remember when we were talking about the Fieldston Historic District special rules with the community, the steel windows came up as, in our discussions, as significant features of the district. So I think it is something that I think there's precedent within the Fieldston community that this is an issue that has been raised as significant. I mean, it is different from the non-steel window houses in that way.
Okay, so our recommendation is still as it was before then, and that they should work with staff, and maybe it requires exploring with other manufacturers, but it's based on the expertise of this commission and of previous decisions that this commission has made regarding using steel or aluminum windows, that you could in fact get energy-efficient windows. You can get them at certain profiles which can replicate this, and that's what should be used for these replacements. Okay. All right, so we can close the do you want to read that? Wasn't that complicated?
In the matter of docket number 16-4012.
Oh, that's at staff level? So we don't actually have to pass a resolution here? Okay. All right, so they will work with staff.
Dodged a bullet.